Hello everyone and welcome! In today's video, I'm going to be having a look at the Axial SCX10 early Bronco ready to run RC crawler. This model has been out for a while now, though recently I was able to score one on sale for a discounted price of $300 US, an offer that seems to be still sparsely available at the time of releasing this video, though normally you'll find this truck priced higher at around $500 US. In this video, I'll be doing a full overview and review of this popular RC model, and of course taking it out for a test drive. Axial has set the standard for 10-scale RC crawlers for years now, and I'm excited to see what this latest version, the SCX10 platform, offers. Without further introduction, let's dive right in. Just having a look at the box gives us a good indication of what we can expect. This SCX10 early Bronco design is officially licensed, with two color options being available, teal with silver stripes or white with blue stripes. Underneath that Bronco body is the popular SCX10 chassis. Features of this model include functional LED headlights and taillights, water-resistant ready-to-run electronics, a dig function which allows the rear wheels to be locked while power is still sent to the front wheels, which allows for tighter turning in certain situations, and a 2-speed transmission. However, use of the 2-speed transmission will require the installation of an additional servo not included with this model. This is marked as a 1/10 scale truck, although technically the body appears to be closer to 1/8 scale when comparing the measurements to a real Bronco. This Bronco will certainly look a little big when parked next to other 10-scale models that you may have in your collection. If you're interested in the exact dimensions of this truck, you can pause the video here. As I get the truck unboxed, I'm happy to see it's packed very well, nice and secure with nothing damaged. In addition to the truck and the transmitter, some optional and spare parts are also included, along with a wheel wrench, batteries for the transmitter, optional decals, and a nice manual. Keep in mind you will need to provide your own battery for the truck. Right out of the box, this Bronco looks great. It's definitely a little larger when compared to other 10-scale models, but it looks good with a lot of scale details. This is a Lexan body, but all of the plastic details and inner fenders really help to elevate the appearance of this Bronco beyond many other ready-to-run Lexan-bodied trucks. There's pretty much a full interior with slightly shallower than real-life depth, full roll cage, frame-mounted bumpers, windshield wipers, separate plastic grille, and hood scoop pieces. I'm very impressed with the design of this body. Another cool little feature is these doors can be opened after a pin is removed. 4 body pins are used to secure the body to the chassis, one on each corner. They're tucked underneath the body out of sight. Removing and replacing the body can be a little bit of a pain, however with some practice it does become a lot easier. With the body off, we can get a good look at that SCX10 chassis. It really does feel solid with a mix of plastic and metal components. I really like the scale drivetrain layout with the motor mounted up front, transferring power to a central transfer case. Also note how the differential housing is off to the side on the front axle, rather than perfectly centered. This setup here is a lot closer to what you would find on just about any real-world 4x4 truck. A very nice design overall. The rear suspension is a standard 4-link setup, and the front is a 3-link with panhard. I noticed a lot of body roll when accelerating and when the wheels are turned to full lock. I don't think it really has any significant impact on the performance for basic trail driving and rock crawling, but I did think it was interesting, as no other crawler I've driven rolls quite as much as this one. I would imagine a certain amount of that is unavoidable due to the design of this suspension. The adjustable, and I assume oil-filled shocks feel really good, and work well out on the trail. The wheels are plastic but look great. At a glance, they sure look like metal. The tires are certainly reasonable by ready-to-run standards. There's plenty of room for a standard size or shorty pack battery mounted on one of 2 adjustable battery holders. The electronics are pretty much what you would expect from a ready-to-run rig, metal gear steering servo, 35-turn brushed motor. The servo feels strong enough for typical trail driving and crawling, while the motor does a great job of providing smooth, slow-speed rotation for crawling, while the top speed is fast enough to keep up while walking down the trail. I'm not very familiar with the Spectrum line of smart receivers, batteries, and chargers. From what I understand, they offer a number of convenience features, such as just being able to plug the battery into the charger and it will automatically know all of the settings of the battery with no manual input being required. Also, using one of the smart batteries with this truck will allow the transmitter to indicate about what level of battery percentage you have remaining for the truck. I guess it's kind of a cool feature, maybe for a younger hobbyist or someone who really wants a foolproof way of charging batteries. Honestly, I'm just glad that this ESC is also compatible with my old dumb batteries as well. Other than the ability to display your truck's battery level if you're using one of the compatible smart batteries, and I guess this little extension from the steering wheel so that you can drive one-handed, there's nothing really special, but it'll get the job done. The dig function is operated from the channel 3 switch. I powered on the truck to showcase these awesome LED lights. Both headlights and taillights shine pretty bright. A nice feature, especially for some nighttime driving. Normally we would go right over to the trails, but I did notice a couple of issues with the truck right away. This servo here that operates the dig kept moving slightly every few seconds. If I manually pushed it so the dig would be fully disengaged, the servo would stop making these repetitive movements, but it didn't seem that the servo was capable of fully disengaging the dig by itself. I thought I could correct this by simply adjusting the endpoints, but after messing with it for a while, I decided to just unplug it and not use the dig function. It's not really necessary anyways for general trail driving and crawling, but still a little annoying to see this feature not be usable. The other issue I encountered though was a little harder to ignore, as the front drive shaft popped out right away. This center splined part of the drive shaft is just too short. I'm wondering if it got put in by mistake. I applied a little lube and reinstalled it, but if it slides to one end, it can still pop out pretty easily when the suspension is fully lifted. If it was just a few centimeters longer, there would be no problem. Fortunately, it stayed in long enough for me to get some good trail driving in before popping out once again. I'll figure out a more permanent fix, but for now, let's move on to the test drive. When this truck is being powered by all four wheels, the performance is really impressive. I think this truck strikes a really nice balance of scale looks and performance. Being a SCX10, there's no shortage of resources and parts out there to take the performance to a whole nother level. However, for typical trail driving or doing some rock crawling in the creek, it's perfectly suited for that type of driving right out of the box. Well, at least when it has four-wheel drive. The Axial SCX10 early Bronco really strikes a nice balance of scale looks and off-road performance. It's worth mentioning that this SCX10 chassis can be purchased separately as a kit if you're interested in doing your own custom build, and a less expensive, non-licensed, ready-to-run option is available called the Base Camp. Looking past the few issues that I encountered, this does seem like a solid, well-designed truck that I'm certainly looking forward to getting repaired and putting it back on the trails. Being that Axial is a major brand that many beginner or younger hobbyists choose for their first hobby-grade RC truck, I certainly hope that the issues I experienced are very rare, as needless to say this would not be the best first impression for somebody brand new to the hobby, or perhaps the parent of somebody brand new to the hobby who just dropped potentially over $500 on this machine. Regardless though, I always want to be honest with my experience and show both the good and the bad. For the $300 I paid for this truck, I don't think there's much, if anything, in this scale that can beat it. Great looks, great performance, and a lot of fun to drive. I hope you all enjoyed this little overview and review. I have a few cosmetic modifications in mind for this truck, though overall I think I'm going to keep it mostly as is. Of course, I'm sure there'll be more videos in the future featuring this truck. Until then though, thank you all very much for watching. If the $300 offer is still going on, I'll post a link to that in the description. Otherwise, you're going to have to use Google to find the best price for one of these. But thanks again everyone, and I'll see you next time.